I want to continue along with your investing process.
Sure.
So do you look at different industries through a different lens, or do you put all the stocks that you look at through the same filter?
Boy, that's a really great question. So yes and no. The no part, so no, I don't put everything through the same ringer. You can't, because as soon as you start looking at financial statements, or as soon as you start looking at stock market valuation ratios, you see that they're wildly different, one industry versus another. So you can't sit there and be the guy with a hammer where everything looks like a nail, because if you only have a hammer, everything will look like a nail, and you will be nailing screws and like hitting your brother by mistake, because everything looks like a nail, and you won't invest very successfully if you truly just try to put everything through the same ringer. So biotech is a much different discipline for 7 different reasons, all of which you've covered in your past videos and will in future, than investing in consumer goods. Yes.
Yes.
Yes as well. Yes, I do put everything through the same ringer. Mm-hmm. The ringer, though, is not metric-based or traditional financial statement data or valuation ratios. It's more a filter for the things that run across all businesses. So what's a good example? The people who are running the company. So this is something that around the Fool these days almost feels like a cliche, and if you've watched a lot of Max's videos or you've hung out on the Fool.com for a while, you know that we really care about who's running the companies, like the people. It's not about a ticker symbol or just a product. It's actually who are the people who found this company, who are invested, who is the CEO, what is his or her character. And so it almost feels like a cliche around here, so I almost feel like I'm saying something boring and uninteresting because it's so rote and so a part of my process and has been for a long time. That said, you walk outside our foolish halls, and I think that's still an alien concept to a lot of people. So that just is one example. That's something that works for every business. And I have a bunch of others like that, where I have that. And in some ways, anybody who knows Motley Fool Rule Breakers and our approach that we take and our philosophy knows that there are certain traits that we look for, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. A separate example, then let's go to your next question, but would be, is that company the leader in the industry? So that can be true of any industry, and that's an important dynamic that I look for. Specifically, who's the leader? Great line. If you're not the lead husky, the view never changes. Great line. So true. I like to find the trailblazers. I often think, Warren Buffett, I'll quote him again. He has a great line. Do you know what are the 3 I's in every cycle? Do you know that one, Max?
No.
Okay, good. So you're going to know it from now on. And I'm paraphrasing, because I've actually never read a Buffett book, so it's more like people quote Buffett on our discussion boards, and I find a few things that I love, and I talk about them, but in general, I'm in a lot of ways the anti-Buffett. But he said there are 3 I's in every cycle. There's the innovator, then second comes the imitator, and then finally third, the idiot. And I love it. It's very true. If you're not the lead husky, the view never changes. So I love the innovators. My 160 or so active stock recommendations, all of which are captured in our Motley Fool Supernova service, most of those companies are big-time innovators. Some of them are imitators. I hope we have no idiots. But that's what happens in business all the time. Somebody comes along as a visionary thing, they get out there and go. Then others come along and say, well, we'll do that too. We're also that. And then others come in, they somehow still get venture cap money, and it's drcoop.com. It's like the worst healthcare play you can imagine. So I'm always there with that first eye. And in general, those innovators, those trailblazers, those lead huskies take you to places that you couldn't even see, like Amazon.com. I had no idea when I invested in 1997 that what cloud computing would be, or that Amazon would ever have web services. How could anyone? No one could have. But they take you there, right? So your question was great. Is there a process that I use that I apply to everything? The answer is no and yes.